Hello everyone, the Pineapple Hoovian here with the newest Big Finish special release, Masterfull, an around 3-hour audio play celebrating the first appearance of the Master in the Terror of the Autons episode of Doctor Who back in 1971, 50 odd years ago. Almost every version of the Master is present here, more or less, only excluding newest and lesser-known Masters such as the James Dreyfus incarnation, the Child incarnation from the Time War, and Sacha Dhawan's newest interpretation of the character. This story starts with the Masters being called together by John Sims' incarnation, or the Saxon Master, as it seems he has succeeded. He has killed the Doctor, and is now the Master of the Universe. These actors all do a fantastic job working off each other, none of them really trusting in the others. This is quite a long story with a lot to unpack, so I will go into spoilers here. I'll leave a timestamp up here, so please go to this point in the video if you wish to just know my final ranking as to not be spoiled. Let's get into it. The Masters meet at the Saxon Incarnation's new Obsidian Castle. The Masters meet in the dining room, one by one, until Milo Parker's young incarnation, the Crispy Beaver's incarnation, the Roberts Bruce incarnation, the Jacoby War Master incarnation, and the McQueen incarnation, with the Ainley incarnation, are met by the Saxon incarnation, throwing a party as he has seemingly killed the 13th Doctor and is now ruling over the universe. I'm going to use the word incarnation a lot in this video, aren't I? They bicker like expected and seem to be missing one of them, the original Delgado incarnation. But instead of finding him, they are greeted by a one Joe Grant, who the Delgado Master elected to throw into the beam that was supposed to retrieve him, an act of self-preservation. They plan to kill her as a sacrifice, but she's saved by the appearance of the gate-crashing Missy, who wasn't invited, as the Saxon incarnation laments her ever being a part of his future. In a series of double crosses, it is revealed that the Ainley incarnation is actually Chameleon, who was planted by Missy, and that the only reason that every Master is here is so that Saxon could steal their lives in classic Master fashion, both self-destructive and all about his own preservation. The castle is swiftly attacked by a large devouring beast, which was the reason that Saxon wanted their other lives, in order to survive its feast. In a shifty escape, the Masters are separated and planted all across the galaxy. So let's go through these stories one by one. The first and the most interesting piece of the story is where the Crispy incarnation of the Master ends up. He is pulled out of a lake and nursed back to health by a lonesome woman named Kitty. Yet, she seems to not be frightened by the Master's appearance, and neither is he, as he is seemingly cured of his crispiness. Unbeknownst to either of them, he has a perception filter of Missy's attached to him. More on that later. During their time together, Kitty and the Crispy Master seem to almost fall in love of sorts, revealing that, like him, she also has a very dark past she's not proud of, explaining why she was so alone before he arrived. He's perfectly content here, but his tranquility is ruined by the appearance of another one of his selves, the Bruce Master, or, as he is Kitty calling him, Brian, not the Ood. She reveals the truth that she refuses to tell the Crispy Master, being that when the energy wave and accompanying creature that attacked the Masters appeared on her world, she looked the other way as the refugee ships were denied resources by the rich and powerful of the society, leading to only one of the 5 ships able to make takeoff. Not before securing a place for one of her daughters aboard, though. After rejecting the advances of the Bruce incarnation, he convinces the Crispy Master to remove the perception filter and show Kitty his true self. This does not go well in the slightest. This is by far the best story, and gives an interesting insight into what was, before this story, one of my least favourite Master incarnations. The next story is started with the McQueen Master locked in a closet. Okay, I guess I'll need to use all of my will to not make a gay joke here. He is eventually released by one of the members of the ship's passengers, learning that the officials and the pilot have sealed themselves off from the other passengers, who were required to stay in the confines of the cargo area. This setup was made by the mysterious new captain, who turns out to be Milo Parker's incarnation. Eventually, after a very well done revolution scene and setup, Parker's incarnation and the McQueen incarnation swap between captain and ship member. Under McQueen's rule, those who speak out start going missing, using them to fuel the ship and speed up the arrival time to their destination, giving desperately needed hope to the surviving travellers. Milo gets really fed up with McQueen's plan here. Next is a little less remarkable, but entails the adventure of the Saxon and the War Master, as they find out the mysterious origin of the creature that attacked the Masters in the beginning of the story. It was spawned from this world under Saxon's rule, and much like everything else the Master has ruled, the world is falling to shit. While these Masters try and figure out where they are, Missy is still at the castle, and is visited by the parallel Mark Gatiss Master from an Unbound Universe story. He and Missy share some uncomfortable screen time, making out a bit. Don't know how to feel about that. He is pretty fantastic, as all the other Masters are here. Even if I have no prior experience with his character, his romp is quite fun, even leading the Time Lords and the Daleks into the slaughter against this entity. The entity finds its way into the alternate Masters universe and ravages it, giving Missy some time for her story. He flees by the end, and it's uncertain what happens to him, but it was fun while he was here. The final offshoot has Joe Grant investigating the entity on the ravaged planet that the Master holds his castle on. She's joined by Chameleon, who has taken some time away from Missy, and he even impersonates the Third Doctor to give Joe some much-needed motivation.
I wonder if these jungles were...
Municipal parks and squares? Gone to seed in an instant? Oh, yes, Joe. Temporal acceleration can do precisely that.
Later on, Joe and Missy find themselves together after a heartful sacrifice by Chameleon. This story does well in seeing Missy's character arc from Series 10, as Joe tries to figure out why Missy is keeping her around. Missy wants to figure out why the Doctor keeps his friends around, and to see if the Master can bring any good. More on that later. Although, this is kind of stinted, as Missy eventually throws Joe into the creature. Lovely. After each of the previous stories are concluded, Chameleon collects the Masters who have either given up on their situations or who are far less productive in them. Bruce, who had sacrificed Beaver's love life with Kitty, the Parker incarnation, trying to starve the ship and fed up with McQueen's approach, and the Saxon incarnation, who abandons the War incarnation efforts to stop the creature because he's just being a pussy like always. Once Chameleon collects them, under Missy's orders, he elects to blow them the fuck up. After their failures, the rest of the Masters reconvene at the castle, joined by Missy, accepting their fate and waiting for the end. There's a very good scene between McQueen and Beavers, comparing their experiences and seemingly showing glimmers of positivity, mirroring Missy's arc. It turns out that all these stories were connected, as Kitty was the one who doomed all but one ship, which was the same ship that McQueen and Milo found themselves on, and the planet they fled was in fact where Saxon and the War incarnations tried to stop the creature. The reason Missy had sent all of them back and given Beavers the alien device was to see if after the Master's multiple failings throughout the show, mostly Saxons here, if any of the incarnations could do something decent. Many tried, even if out of self-preservation, to do something decent. But really, the Beavers incarnation was the only one to actually get anywhere, not just out of self-preservation. And through this, he realizes that himself and all these other Masters would make the universe a far better place if they weren't part of it. Saxon returns as the only master to survive Chameleon's blast, but after some ill-flavoured bubbly, every incarnation find themselves writhing on the ground in pain. Beavers had poisoned them with the poison of the Judas tree last seen in Let's Kill Hitler, leaving Missy as the last to die. She realises just what she is, what the Master means to the universe. This creature that had been tearing the universe apart is her final regeneration. What she will inevitably end up as. Just a big wave of hunger to consume everything. As it closes in on her and her other selves, she laments that this powerful paradox of her later incarnation eating up all her younger ones will most likely cause this timeline and universe to cease to exist, even erasing this creature before it will arrive in any other universe or even end space. Damn, that is one creative ending and resolution. Masterfull is a fantastic 3-hour romp that certainly does the entire character of the Master justice, even if it leans a little too hard into having beavers as the heart of the story. This masterpiece, get it, was written by James Goss, and I would certainly recommend you give this a listen. I give Masterfull by James Goss a 9 out of 10. Thank you everybody for watching this video. I really enjoyed writing this and listening to this epic master-driven story. Please leave a like if you like the video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a video. Once again, thank you for watching.